Draco the Lawgiver, crushed by admiration. Draco, an Athenian lawmaker in the 7th century BC, is remembered for being so strict that his name gave us the word draconian. His legal code was famously harsh. Death was the penalty for almost every crime, but his own death? It was less punishment, more accident. Legend says Draco entered a theater where fans showered him with gifts of cloaks and hats as a sign of respect. Unfortunately, too many people joined in. The pile of cloaks smothered him, and the man who codified some of Athens' earliest laws died buried under his fans' enthusiasm. Imagine the founder of harsh justice meeting his end not in battle, not by assassination, but by being buried alive under ancient Greek fashion. If irony could kill, Draco would have died twice. Aeschylus, the playwright and the turtle. Aeschylus, the father of Greek tragedy, wrote plays that influenced writers for centuries, but his own death reads like slapstick comedy. In 455 BC, Aeschylus was outside when an eagle, looking for a rock to crack open its turtle prey, mistook his bald head for the perfect target. The bird dropped the turtle. Instead of breaking the shell, the turtle cracked Aeschylus' skull. A man who wrote tragedies about hubris and fate was himself undone by a bird with bad eyesight. Ancient writers might have called this the gods playing a joke. Today we just call it nature trolling. Sigurd the Mighty, defeated by a dead man. Sigurd the Mighty, a Viking Earl of Orkney in the 9th century, earned his title through conquest and ferocity. But his downfall was not in battle. After defeating an enemy chieftain named Mjolbrigt, Sigurd decapitated him and tied the head to his saddle as a trophy. As he rode home, the severed head bumped against his leg, and one of its teeth cut him. The wound became infected, and Sigurd died. Imagine being a fierce Viking warrior, only to be killed not by an enemy's sword, but by his dental hygiene. It was the ultimate case of biting off more than you can chew. King Adolf Frederick of Sweden, death by dessert. In 1771, King Adolf Frederick of Sweden had what may be the most excessive Last Supper in history. His meal included lobster, caviar, sauerkraut, smoked herring, and champagne. But dessert was his true undoing. The king devoured 14 servings of semla, a rich pastry filled with almond paste and hot milk. That night, he died of what doctors politely called indigestion. In less polite terms, he ate himself to death. Adolf Frederick is remembered less for his policies or rule, and more for being the king who died from dessert. It's a cautionary tale. One too many slices of cake really can be fatal. Clement Vallandigham, a lawyer who proved his point too well. Clement Vallandigham was a 19th century American lawyer who defended a man accused of murder. His argument? The victim had shot himself while drawing his pistol. To prove it, Vallandigham demonstrated with a pistol he believed was unloaded. It wasn't. He shot himself and died, but his demonstration convinced the jury. His client was acquitted. Vallandigham lost his life, but in a strange way he won his case. His death remains one of the most infamous examples of dedication to one's argument and the hazards of courtroom theatrics. Franz Reichelt, the Flying Tailor. In 1912, Parisian tailor Franz Reichelt believed he had invented a wearable parachute suit. Convinced of its success, he leaped off the Eiffel Tower to demonstrate. Thousands gathered to watch. Cameras rolled. Unfortunately, his invention didn't work. Instead of gliding, Reichelt plummeted 187 feet to his death. The footage remains one of the earliest recorded fatal accidents on film. His legacy isn't as the man who invented the parachute suit, but as the man whose leap of faith ended in tragedy. Basil I, dragged by a deer. Basil I, Byzantine emperor from 867 to 886 AD, lived a life of power, politics, and conquest. But his death? Less noble. While hunting, he was attacked by a stag whose antlers caught his belt. The animal dragged him for miles before he was rescued. Though he survived initially, his injuries weakened him. Soon after, he died of complications. A man who ruled an empire and fought wars was ultimately bested by an animal better known for running from predators. Jim Fixx, the runner who collapsed running. Jim Fixx was the man who introduced America to jogging. His 1977 book, The Complete Book of Running, sparked a fitness craze. But in 1984, at just 52 years old, Fixx died of a heart attack, while jogging. It seems ironic, but doctors pointed out that Fixx had a family history of heart disease. His lifestyle likely extended his life, rather than cut it short. Still, his death became one of history's most infamous cases of bitter irony. the man who preached the benefits of running collapsed while doing it. Hans Steininger, the beard that killed him. Hans Steininger, a 16th century Austrian mayor, had a beard over 4 feet long. He usually kept it rolled up in a pocket to avoid tripping. But during a fire in 1567, in the chaos he forgot. As he fled, his beard caught under his feet. He tripped, fell down a staircase, broke his neck, and died. His beard became his downfall, literally. Today, part of that famous beard is preserved in a museum. Proof that facial hair, while fashionable, can also be fatal. Gary Hoy, the lawyer and the glass window. In 1993, Toronto lawyer Gary Hoy wanted to demonstrate the strength of his office's glass windows. He threw himself against one, a stunt he had pulled off before. The glass didn't shatter. Instead, the entire window popped out of its frame, sending Hoy plummeting 24 stories. Technically, he was right. The glass was strong. It was the frame that failed. Sadly, the law doesn't forgive falls from skyscrapers. Chrysippus, death by laughter. Chrysippus, a Stoic philosopher in ancient Greece, is said to have died laughing at his own joke. Around 206 BC, he saw a donkey eating figs and quipped that the animal should wash them down with wine. The thought amused him so much that he fell into uncontrollable laughter, collapsed, and died. The man who preached reason and control of emotions was undone by laughter. His death remains one of history's most absurd examples of irony. Allan Pinkerton, a detective's slip. Allan Pinkerton, founder of the famous Pinkerton Detective Agency, died not from a gunfight or assassination, but from something far more ordinary. In 1884, he tripped on a sidewalk, bit his tongue, and the wound became infected. The infection led to gangrene, and Pinkerton died shortly after. A man who survived chasing criminals and spies couldn't survive a stumble and a tongue injury. George Plantagenet, drowned in wine. George Plantagenet, Duke of Clarence and brother to King Edward IV, was convicted of treason in 1478. His execution was unusual. According to legend, he chose to be drowned in a barrel of Malmsey wine, his favorite drink. Whether it was truly his choice or simply a story passed down, it remains one of the most infamous and absurd noble deaths in history. He literally went out drinking. Modern absurdities. The age of technology. Today, ridiculous deaths haven't gone away. People have fallen off cliffs while taking selfies, electrocuted themselves charging phones in bathtubs, or choked in food contests. Technology has advanced, but human folly remains timeless. From philosophers to kings, emperors to lawyers, history is full of people whose final moments were anything but dignified. Their deaths remind us that no matter how powerful, wise, or famous we are, life has a way of surprising us. Sometimes that surprise is tragic. Sometimes it's just ridiculous. History often teaches us about courage, strategy, and leadership. But these stories teach us something just as important. Never underestimate the power of chance, irony, or plain bad luck. After all, you never know when the most ordinary moment might become the most absurd ending.